Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tuesday night. We are United Front. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. Joining me this evening, we have Jacob Terrell, Christina, and if our guest is ready, we'll go ahead and pull it. Oh, there he is.
What's up, guys?
What's going on, Bees? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I got my whole setup, and then the Wi-Fi is down. So hate when that happens.
No worries, no worries at all. We've done a handful of interviews with folks. Coach Steve Familetta from the Runners, as well as some others, on cell phones and other technical issues. So we're just, we're glad you're here, and we'll take you in any way that we can get you. So, for yeah, we'll just jump right into it. I mean, how have you been? I mean, obviously, there's been a number of life transitions for you recently, and retirement from professional soccer. And I know that everyone was happy to see you on Saturday. How's life been treating you and the family, and how are you guys doing?
Yeah, I appreciate that. First of all, it's good to be here. Thank you guys for having me on and for the time. It's always an honor anytime I can be a part of the New Mexico United community. I embrace it. So thank you guys very much. Life has been good. Moved to Southern California, which is a big transition, even though it's familiar. It's about 50 minutes from where I grew up, closer to San Diego, and just really enjoying life. But the transition out of professional soccer has been unique, and one that I'd be happy to speak more on, and one that I hope I can help others on in the near future, because it's hard, but it's been beautiful. Life is great, and I can't complain.
Are you in Oceanside, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay, we love to vacation there in Oceanside. I love that place.
Nice. Yeah, it's a special place.
I like to go over to Goat Hill and golf over there when we go into town.
Yeah, it's I've heard a ton of good things about Goat Hill, but I haven't been out there yet. It's it's on the
Nice, yeah.
it's on the list of places to go, but I haven't been out there yet.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
are you close to family there? Or is it just the three of you?
Yeah. It's just the three of us, like in Ocean, but like 45 minutes north, and so it's not hard to get up there and visit family. So it's really nice to have that unique aspect. In New Mexico, my wife's family's in Tennessee and my family's in California, so it became hard, especially the last year, especially with having a young kid. As some of you guys know, it's hard with the without help close by.
It takes a village.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Yeah, we're all parents, and there's my youngest child right there. As we're talking about children, but no, we're all parents. We all know what it's like, and I'm in a unique situation somewhere that most of my family is back on the East Coast as well. So it's certainly difficult at times being away from the people that are close to you and family, and I know it probably helps a lot being around them.
Yeah, it helps a ton. It's just nice to be able to, it's a blessing to be able to have, childcare or a babysitter. But when you can leave your kids with family, it just gives you that much more, that level of comfort that you don't get. Even if you have the best babysitter, you're always just wondering in your mind if things are okay. But when they're with family, it's a level of comfort, and it's really unique to have.
Yeah, without a doubt. So obviously you were back out of the lab 2 weeks ago, Chris Wehan Appreciation Night. You've been with the club since its inception. Obviously you left in the middle, go back to Orange County for just a little while, but we're not going to talk about that stint. Talk about a little bit about your time with New Mexico and what it meant to you to come back here and play for United and play across the street from UNM, and just how much the club has meant to New Mexicans, and how important it is. Sorry, I have a lot of questions here. Important it is to have New Mexicans as a part of this club.
Yeah, I think having New Mexicans is a priority for the club. And I know that the club has done a great job with that. When I went to UNM, it was always funny to be lined up on the field in the starting 11, and they would announce the players and where they're from. And anytime it was someone from Albuquerque, they got a little bit louder of a applause than the rest of us. And there's just that level of pride that New Mexicans have for their own. And the unique thing about me going to UNM is I felt like people kind of started to make the assumption that I was from Albuquerque, which I loved. And I loved getting embraced that way. But yeah, I remember when I went to UNM, had an incredible 4.5 years, redshirted my freshman year. And I remember when I left, it was like, all right, that's it. Like, I loved my time in New Mexico, but sayonara, and I'm off to chase professional soccer. And that was my thought. And I like that. Um, but when the team came back, when the team announced that they were going to have a USL championship side, for some reason in my mind, I was like, well, I won't be playing there. I thought I was, at that time I was in the MLS, and I think that the hope was obviously to stay in the MLS, and I just envisioned my path, keeping me away from New Mexico for whatever reason. And then when they announced Troy, shortly after they announced Troy, we had a conversation and kind of started the ball rolling. When finalized, some other things had to fall in place that I'd be happy to go into if you wanted to. But yeah, that's kind of when we started having that conversation about me coming back to New Mexico.
Yeah, of course. Anything you'd love to share with us about that process, and I know there's been conversation on social media here recently, particularly in the New Mexico United Discord, about the CBA and contracts and player salaries and things like that. And so, I mean, anything you want to get into, I mean, we'd love to talk about it. I mean, I know the CBA obviously a huge deal for you guys. But I mean, yeah, share with us the experience of, sitting down with Troy and Peter and, getting that contract on the table initially, and then, coming back to New Mexico throughout your career.
Yeah. So I almost didn't make it to New Mexico in the first place. So I was in San Jose with the Earthquakes, and I was I always equated to wrong place at the wrong time. And that's so much of soccer and career and sports in general. And when I say that, we were the worst team in the MLS. We won 4 games that year. Um, and which was tough for me being a young player. You kind of need, um, the type of player I was, I needed a sort of comfortable environment to succeed. I didn't have sort of the strength, the ability to handle myself well in a difficult environment, which was the Earthquakes at that time. And one of our I forget what role this guy was in. Um, Great guy. His name was Vasily. He worked kind of underneath the GM. He ended up taking a role with the Montreal Impact, and he liked the way I played. Had I think we had a good relationship, and he actually worked out a way for me to go on trial with the Montreal Impact. And so Troy and I spoke, and Troy was put a contract on the table that was basically, if I don't make Montreal, then I would automatically be a New Mexico United player. And to be honest, I really think I deserved a spot on Montreal Impact. I had an incredible 2.5 weeks of being on trial. It was Remy Gard was the coach there, French guy. So that was like, I felt like I was in a foreign country. Most of the time the team talks were in French, and I remember actually Bakary Sagna was the nicest guy ever, and he was super nice to me. And Arsenal fan, so I was like, this is so cool. I'm like, sharing a locker room space with this guy, and I would often ask him like, hey, what did he say? And he was nice enough to kind of translate for me. Um, but it came down to like one final preseason game. I didn't play my best, and I got released, and then I flew from Montreal to California, and collected my car from my parents' house and drove to New Mexico, which I did that a couple times actually in my stint in Mexico. Drive from Southern California to New Mexico.
Yeah, so as we always do here live, we do have some folks over in the chat. They're already throwing some questions your way. We'll start with an easier one from Bolty over here. What former UNM players would you have liked to have played with on United?
Former UNM players would I like to have played with on New Mexico United? That's a great question. I could list a ton of players. I would have really liked to play with Blake Smith. He played at San Antonio. He had a good MLS career. Also at Montreal Impact, Miami, and the NASL for a little bit, and then ended his career in San Antonio, which is where he's from. I would have liked to play with him. Michael Kafari was another one I would have liked to have played with, center midfielder. Levi Rossi was like my mentor, was the team captain when I started at UNM. I would have loved to have played with him. I would have loved for him to have had a shot at the professional. He was one of those players that just never broke into the system and never got his opportunity at the pro level, but was definitely the quality. And then obviously like the players that I am glad that I didn't play with, like Aaron Herrera. I'm super happy that he's had an amazing career in the MLS and with national teams and made a career for himself. He was definitely too good to be in the USL, but I would have liked to have played with him as well.
I know it's not a former Lobo, but I was really rooting for a big Wehan and little Wehan duo after your brother came and played against us. I forget what year it was, maybe 2020?
Yeah, that was the year I came back to New Mexico United from Orange County. I would have loved for him to play with the club as well. He had some injuries towards the end of his career, and kind of he lost the flair. He not the flair. He lost the passion for the game. It's a grind, and it's a slow burn, this career, and his fire burned out when he was young. He had some concussions as well, and he just didn't feel that it was worth it to keep fighting through those, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a bummer, but he was hella fun to watch, even though he was playing against us.
Yeah, he was. He was a spark. He had, as a youth player, he was far better than I was. Earned a scholarship to play at Stanford, which I'm not going to say that Stanford's better than UNM at soccer by any means. Um, but in terms of like the quality of academics and athletic, it was a pretty unique place for him to attend.
I mean, I guess technically Stanford is better than UNM at this point since there is no men's soccer team anymore. So, speaking of injuries, you talk about your brother and injuries ending his career. Obviously, yours probably didn't end the way you would hope to. We know you suffered, I believe, it was a broken knee, and then you tried to come back,
Kneecap.
and then fractured kneecap, and then re-injured it, is what we were told. Talk about that process and just how difficult it was to make that decision to walk away.
Yeah, that's a great question. It was, kind of, I got chills thinking about like reliving those moments. Yeah, I think similar to like what my brother experienced. It was when I had got injured the first time. I It was mainly coming from my left knee. So my left knee was the cartilage, and that was kind of where I was in and out sometimes. I don't know if you remember that. I was like, I'd be in for a couple weeks, and I'd be out for a couple weeks. I was kind of like going through this weird thing. I was just have these flare ups in my left knee and just some discomfort. And I'll never forget. We were playing in San Antonio. I can't remember. I think I scored. But I remember going into that game and was like, I think I feel a little discomfort. Well, I'm just gonna start to compensate on my other side. And I remember like actually having that conversation in my head, and and by compensating on my right side, that's what started the stress fracture. Because walking off the field that game, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling pain in my right knee now. And I played through that pain for 2 weeks, and that was right when Zach Prince walked away and Mac stepped in as the interim head coach. And it was like such like no disregard to Zach. It was just like a uplifting time for us as a group. I think we were kind of searching. We were having some difficult results, and it was like kind of a fresh start. And I felt really positive, but I was like having this discomfort. And I remember being at Tampa, and is when it fractured, it like fully fractured on me, and it was like extreme pain in my right knee. And I was like, okay, like something's not right. And then in the recovery process, it was kind of like an unknown. It was like the doctors were kind of like perplexed. They hadn't really seen too many of these before. It wasn't like fully broken, so they didn't recommend surgery. So it was just kind of like, hey, just let it heal. And like no disregard to anyone. It just was kind of one of those things where it's like, just let it heal up. And it wasn't like it was like, here's surgery and here's the recovery protocol. Like just follow these steps and we'll get you back on the field. It's kind of like this unknown. So I kind of felt in no man's land a little bit, where I was like just kind of sidelined, but it wasn't like there was a whole lot for me to be doing. And I struggled in that. I really did struggle mentally. I remember just when I was out in Albuquerque and talking to Suggs, and Suggs was like, anytime that you're at practice and you're not like involved because you're sidelined with injuries, it's like one of the worst things ever. And I was like, yeah, it's so difficult. And we were kind of chatting with Brucey about that, and it's just a weird thing to not feel like you're valued at all. And you know, the contract negotiations were difficult between myself and the club, and I got myself healthy. I passed the fitness test that last year at the start of preseason, and um, the weirdest thing was when we went to Dallas to play that first preseason game. That was Eric Quill's, first preseason with the club. I started to have the similar pain, and it never registered in my mind that, oh my gosh, it's the same knee that I fractured my kneecap. Just never registered at all. I just sort of kept playing through it, as most athletes do. And a couple days after that game in practice, I remember planting, so similar to what happened in Tampa the first time, just planted on my right leg to take a shot with my left foot and just shooting pain in my knee. And I remember walking off the field no, I remember driving from practice to the doctor's office because I was going straight there to get an x-ray. And it just like hit me like a ton of bricks that it was like that it was done. Um, because I just didn't have it in me to like fight through it again, to be like, all right, let's, do this and like recover and get back to fitness. And which is like a devastating thing to even say, because I spent my whole life playing this sport, but you just sort of, at a certain point, you just, and like one of the reasons why like I loved playing and I loved playing for New Mexico United is giving the fans like that entertainment, that's something to cheer for, and like just hopefully that whatever I can do to like inspire people and like just give them a good evening. It just felt like there was a part of me that like was grieving, like walking away from that and like walking away from what it was. And yeah, it's been a whole crazy year and a half just trying to like break through that and like just um like let the emotion come through you and deal with it, and not like try and um like not feel what you're feeling, essentially.
Mm. Well, especially as a professional athlete, I mean, you have to be a driven person, goal oriented, driven. And for the medical team to be able to just say to you, just let it heal, and that not really be a true plan of action, I can see how that was really just like defeating for you. Oh, breaks my heart, bees.
Yeah, and it's like by no means it's not to like make anyone like paint it in a bad light. It just was like the reality of the situation. And I think it was just so foreign to the doctors and to the athletic training staff, and like, and also the you're at a club. The reality is you're in the USL, and resources are limited when there's one athletic trainer, maybe a second athletic trainer that's focusing on the academy. And doctors that have their own entire practice that they are, focusing on. And then like Elevate, which they have their own business and their own clientele. And, then we had physical therapists that were part of a different company, and a masseuse that had his own business. So it was like all these different opinions that were all trying to play into it as well. And I take in as much as I can from everyone, and at the same time some people were saying like there's nothing we can do, just let the bone heal. It was just it was difficult. And I know that, like, I was, and I think this is like where there was a little bit of friction between myself and the club, is that I was like very vocal about it because I didn't want anyone else to experience what I was experiencing. Like, I didn't want um anyone to feel like they were not, that there wasn't like, hey, we're gonna give you like the biggest plan of action. It was kind of like, let's hope it heals and then do what you can to get fit and be ready to go. So I was just trying to advocate for other players, and hopefully, but I know it's hard and resources are limited, so it's all a learning process.
Yeah, there's a couple places to go there. Well, I'll start with Justin's comment over in the chat. I think as fans, we've seen you go down with knee injuries. We've seen Nava have to retire because of a knee injury, and there's been some question amongst the fans as far as the practice pitch and the playing surface at Isotopes Park, and if that's a factor at all. Do you have any? Is there any merit to that, or what do you think, having played on both of those surfaces?
I think it's a valid question to like inquire about that, I think, from the fans. And I also understand why the fans are asking that, right? Because I'm sure, like, for for like, take me out of the picture, like for Nava, which was like the hometown kid that like came out from Albuquerque, the first academy signing, like what an incredible talent he was, like the potential he had, for him to go down. And then obviously Brucey is just like, that's a devastating one, not only for him personally, but to the fans and like what he means. And like, even when he came on, if he was given like 1 minute at the end of the game, you knew he was going to like give everything in that minute. And I think it was inspiring for the fans. I think that's why everyone loves him so much. um I I can't answer your question, not because I have the, yeah, I just, it's hard. It's such a challenge. I mean, it's hard to say. Like, injuries are a crazy thing. I really believe I've been like inquiring so much in myself about like, where was I at personally, like when I got injured, like actually realistic where I was at. And like, yeah, I was in a difficult place. Like, one, how I was handling myself in terms of like life, and being like, knowing that like career is coming to an end, and like what is like next chapters of my life look like who do I identify as, like how do I use my platform, and how do I like, maximize like being a professional athlete to like transition on. And like, also like not always like enjoying the sport, which was like something that was realistic with where I was at. Like, it was, I had a hard time playing under some coaches, and that also affected me mentally. And I think there's similarities in Rusty's story, and there's similarities in Nava's story. And yeah, I think the pitch is, there's a common denominator as well, but you, nothing like translates, obviously. Like, nothing is like, I talked to Brucey about his injury, and we can all make our assumptions. But like, only, whether you're religious or not, God, or a higher being, like, understands like what that reason was, like what was the reason that devastating injury like happened to Brucey, like with no contact. What what's the meaning behind that? And like those are some of the questions that we can't answer. And I know that's like I'm running around your question,
No,
Jacob, but
No.
it's tricky. It's hard.
I've always assumed that. So when you see clubs like New Mexico United, and us as diehard fans of that club, we follow mostly that club, right? And so we see the injuries to our club. We don't necessarily pay attention to the ones elsewhere. So it could be happening, maybe not as frequent, maybe more frequently at some other clubs across the USL or MLS or whatever. And we don't see it. So we kind of have tunnel vision on that. So I've put some credence into it in the past myself, but for the most part, I when you mention religion and stuff like that, I'm a pretty faithful man, and think that a lot of that happens for reasons that we don't know right away, and it takes some time to figure out. And it sounds like you've been able to transition out of that in a pretty positive way. But I want to ask one more tough question before we move on to what you're doing now. You mentioned that there was some friction with the club at times when it came through that. How bad did that get? And then how did you guys patch that up?
Yeah, look, I appreciate the tough questions, and yeah, like I've like teetered on this, like just be an authentic and open person, and also like some things are meant for behind the scenes. I think
Of course.
yeah, it essentially, the negotiation process at the end of 2023 was challenging, um between myself and the club, partially because I did feel like there was this kind of notion of like, how are we going to know you're healthy? It essentially went like, how are we going to know you're healthy? And I was like, how are you going to know that you're healthy? Like that's your, you know, protocol and how clubs operate business, you know? Like I had another offer to go to another club guaranteed for 2 years. I could have taken it, gotten injured in the same time frame in a week. And what would that have looked like? That would have, you know, so in some regards, what New Mexico United did in regards to me was brilliant, because they could just let me go and they didn't owe me anything. And that's the way that the contract was essentially written. It was essentially uh, it was worded as a performance-based contract. Um, and what that meant was that if I remained healthy, that I get paid a certain amount, and if I got hurt at a certain point, that the club could release me. And I was my feelings were hurt when we negotiated that contract. And there was entitlement in that, for sure, which I think is wrong for athletes, to feel that entitlement. Um, but you know, I had a lot of history in New Mexico, and I had a lot of good history with the club, and felt like anytime I've had the ability to, I've worked extremely hard for the club. Um, and of course, I felt like there was maybe a different way to go about it. Like I felt like that's where I was coming from. That I think that there was just maybe a little bit different way to go about the club. But I think ultimately, where I give them credit is, they did the right thing on the behalf of the club, like to take me off, to be able to get me off the books, to be able to sign another player, or however many players with, you know, the funds that got freed up because of me going down, was a smart move on their part. um, but I just felt a little hurt how it went down. And you know, I didn't have the, I've done, as the work that I've done on myself is I've just become more conscious and aware of who I am, and I very much avoid conflict. And so I kind of avoided, um, people from the club are having those difficult conversations until towards the end of the season of last year. And with the right people, I had those conversations with the right people, and we addressed it, and we got to a common place. And I attended the playoff game last year that the boys unfortunately lost. That was, I don't take any blame for that, but I brought positive energy. And then what the club did for me this last weekend was phenomenal. And I really felt like they didn't have to do that, but I really am appreciative of what they did do and the way that they honored me and brought me out, and with the way Peter spoke about me and what Ron and the whole staff did on behalf of me was extremely nice. And they really didn't have to do that. So I'm like the honest, the truth of the situation is out there. And I certainly have things that I have to take responsibility for with how I was handling myself as a pro, and the energy that I was bringing to the group on a day in and day out basis. And if you guys want to dive into that, I'm happy to do that as well. But yeah, I think ultimately what they did was right. I just was a little hurt in how it went down.
I find myself as a fan feeling that way. For me, it's like it's all heart, and it's hard to stop and recognize that for the club, it's also business. So it's like when players come or go, it's so hard to see that. Or when there is that speculation of, oh, is this player leaving because they're unhappy with the club, or is it be for other reasons? And so I can appreciate just that tug and pull of, there's a lot of feelings involved, but then also at the end of the day, it's a business, it's a profession. It's tough. It's tough.
I think to that point, it's a blessing and a curse what Troy did for the club. And Peter as well was as much equal in a part of that as well. Like what those guys did from like the very beginning for the club was like incredible. Like the way that we connected player to community to fan, like right away, was like unique, unlike anywhere else. Like I played for Reno 1868 in their first year, and it was like very similar, but like so minimal, like to the degree in which New Mexico United did it. Like the way that we connected with the community and the fans was so unique. And I think for the most part, especially like the players that were playing a lot of minutes, like week in and week out, that first couple year, 2 years, was like the fans like embraced us. And I think what's hard now is that it's transitioned away from that, and it's become a little bit more transactional and like, hey, like, we're bringing a player in to do the job, and if they're not doing the job, like next guy up. And that's just kind of that's how the business operates. And what Peter and Troy built in the first year was so unique. And so I don't know if you guys are feeling that as well. I'd be curious to know from your guys' perspective, like that kind of has gone away a little bit.
I think so. I mean, all three of us have been deeply involved as a fan, and then me and Seth have covered the team in some media capacity since year one, and it does kind of feel a little different. I just chalked it up to 2019 was in my opinion just this magical time at Isotopes Park and with everything surrounding United, and I knew in the moment that it could never continue to be that magical, right? It was a lightning in a bottle type thing. And then, like if you follow sport, I've followed sports since I was like 5 years old, pretty in depth. That at some point, fan favorites are going to leave, whether it's players, coaches, front office, whatever. You're going to have turnover, and you're going to have things kind of change. And then it's also this give and take of like, okay, well, one, I'd like to get your opinion on this too. It definitely seems like the USL championship as a whole has evolved since 2019, and you've kind of had to put a different product on the pitch compared to that 2019 season. And I love every member of that 2019 season, but there were some that I don't think could see the pitch in most USL championship clubs now. And so if you want to continue to put a competitive team out on the field, some of that stuff was going to have to change no matter what. And it sucks as a team, as a fan, to lose some fan favorites and see kind of that familia atmosphere fade just a little bit while you're trying to find a new core. But if a fan is realistic with themselves and knows sports in a way that most fans, I think, do, they kind of had to know it was coming. But I have noticed it, and it is a little bit of a bummer. But I'm also, like last year, like I said, me and Seth have covered the team since 2019, and you mentioned Troy, and then you mentioned Prince, and then you mentioned Quill, and there was definitely a different feeling once Quill took over, but the results were there, man. And so it's, in a perfect world, you have a guy like Troy delivering the results that Quill did, but that's not how it always works out. And so you got to find the balance, find a way to get both products on the pitch and off the pitch to be at their best. And I've loved the success that we had last year. I love Sanchez and what he's doing right now and trying to do with, albeit some impatient fans. But it is this balancing game that you got to try to figure out. And I think the club's trying. We've had Itamar on the show in the past, and he talks about, when they're bringing guys in, it's guys that want to be here and have the right attitude. And
be part
I
of the
think,
community.
Yeah. And I think that's what they try to find. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but yes, it has definitely felt a little different.
I find myself thinking about what Peter has said as far as viewing the club as a ladder. And I feel like it's been.
Can you fill me in on that?
So he's talked about the idea of it being a springboard, particularly for New Mexicans, to help people to achieve their goals, but not just New Mexicans, anybody who's part of the club in any capacity, whether it be admin, the media people, players, people involved in the academy. And so, we form these relationships with, seeing certain players who become fan favorites, or even like our media team. 2019 media team was like goated. The things that they were doing and the combination of art and sport was just like unreal and so unique. And that's where so much of that pride came for New Mexico United fans. It was like, finally, New Mexico, like little New Mexico's being seen. We see it even with like David Carl or coaches. They all have, at some point, a lot of people have left to go do media for an MLS team, or go coach an MLS team, or go play for some other team or within some other league. And so it's hard to see them leaving New Mexico and United. But at the same time, that's what Peter has said is the ultimate goal, in a way, to be a ladder and to allow people to climb and achieve their goals. It makes it hard to have that cohesion and that family feel when people keep leaving.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think the thing that came to me when you were speaking is like a conversation that I have with Heather Dyke with women's soccer, and she talk about like an experienced coach with like an incredible resume that wants to be and it's really hard to find those people, like, because New Mexico is so unique. And to get someone that like truly like wants to be in New Mexico, I think is it's not from there, is hard to come by. And so how can you find those people and like value them and like do whatever you can to like keep them there, because they're very unique people. And like I think Quill, as far as like I understood from the players, I wasn't around him all that much, like the second half of the year, but like the last year I wasn't around him at all. I think like the players knew that like there was a sense that he was springboarding. And to your point, I think that that's also a good thing. Like it is good to have. And I think to, I don't know, I'd be curious to know like if the club like just went all out and just said like we are literally a springboard to, you know, the higher level, like the MLS, like what that would do to the club, to the fans, like um you know, what that would mean. Because when I was in Reno, when I played in Reno, it was, we very much took that approach. Like I remember the coach like yelling at us in training, like that's not good enough. Like we were all there because he told us like if you come through here, like I will do whatever I can to help you to the MLS. And like he would get on us and be like, that's not good enough. Like you think like you at the next level, like you're kidding. It was all about that. And I think in 2019 it was like such, we embraced the community. And I feel like I've done a good job of that, embracing the community. And you know, Sergio Rivas and Kalen Ryden and Brucey, like those guys have embraced the community. And it's, in the USL, it's unfortunate that you don't see players stay at a place for a long time. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to the club in the coming years, if it does very much become like just in and out type of
Mm-hmm.
roster and culture.
Well, and that's something we've kind of touched on the podcast over the years, is the nature of the USL contracts. A great number that we see are for one and an option or single year contracts. But in recent years, we have seen more players pick up multi-year deals with USL clubs. Do you think that's a function of the CBA, or is that more so on the clubs being like, we want to keep people long term to build?
I think it's on the clubs. I don't know exactly why. I couldn't like put my finger on it, but I think it's very much on the clubs. Like there's a lot of like hesitation to like invest in 3 years, 4 years. I you come in and do the job they ask you, and not like, okay, well, we didn't like invest in that guy for a long time. Let's just get rid of him. Um, but it's different. If overseas, it's different in Europe. You know, they sign longer contracts and they get sold, and so I don't know. I'd be curious to know, like, if the CBA, if the players have talked about that and how they can maybe negotiate a CBA that encourages longer term contracts.
Well, I think we can move on from a little more of the serious stuff. I really want to get into what you're doing now, and we only have a handful of minutes left before you need to get out of here. So, so you get released with that contract at the beginning of last season, but you stayed in New Mexico until early this year, if I'm not mistaken. So, what did that time frame look like, and how did you get where you are now?
Yeah, that time frame. It feels like forever ago, but it wasn't that long ago. So I had a couple surgeries, and shortly after I got injured, my son was like about 8 months at the time, and we kind of lost our. We had a great babysitter, and she kind of went away from doing what she was doing. So I was like, all right, well, my wife was working full time. She's in med device sales. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll step into daddy daycare role. And so I did that for, still doing a lot of that. But the other cool thing that I did in New Mexico last year was I coached the Bosque boys high school team during their high school season. And I had formed a great relationship with the AD at Bosque. And she called me out of the blue and she was like, hey, like, we got a head coaching position open. Like, we'd love for you to take it. And I remember giving her like like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I want to coach. And she was like, she basically was like, you're doing it. Like, you'll be great. And so I kind of just was like, all right. So I stepped into it and I had a blast. I loved it. I loved working with those boys, and they were coming out of a difficult situation with their previous head coach. The culture was a bit off, and we really just focused on like getting the culture right and getting a better culture. And we had some good success. We made it to the state semifinals for 3A or 4A. I'm sorry, I forget. Ended up losing to Santa Fe Prep, but yeah, we had a great run, and it was a blast. I really enjoyed the role of being on the sideline. It was like a different kind of pressure, a different kind of stress that I really enjoyed, which made me think a lot about coaching. But I have still yet to dive into that world. I think after spending 30 years of my life, committing every weekend to being on the field and playing games and tournaments and practices, it's I haven't felt the same urge to jump into that in terms of coaching. But if the path is right, then maybe there's a future for that.
Well, it's been fun to see your Instagram and your YouTube presence too, and just the stuff that you're doing, just inspiring the youth. So even if you're not directly coaching, just finding really creative ways. Speaking of youth.
Yeah. Thank you for that. It's so funny. My thought, I've become a very open person, and just in terms of just being open to different ideas or different, ways of thinking, and maybe something works, maybe something doesn't work, or it resonates with you or doesn't resonate. When I was playing for New Mexico United, I hated social media. I had this like notion, like I was like ingrained, and I'll blame Jeremy Fishmine for this trauma in my life. But I just had this notion like, hey, we're professional athletes, like we just have to like get off this vibe, like we're just focused on being the best soccer player. Like I didn't want to like let the fans in on like anything other than like I was playing soccer. Like I love to golf, but like I kept it very like quiet, and like come out, I'm like kind of kicking myself because I'm like, I felt like if I would have been utilizing this more while I was playing and not necessarily caring what people think so much, then I could have probably the world of social media, the more you're in it, the more like momentum you generate, is from what it seems like. And so I kind of kick myself that I've changed my perspective, that I see it as an active tool, but I also see it as just a way to help the next generation. And I'm still figuring out how I do help the next generation, but I appreciate that comment, Christina, because that's I've just been trying to share positivity and messages and lessons that I learned along the way about things that help and things that hindered me. So I'm trying to be more authentic on it as well.
I can tell you, Jacob and I both enjoy your golf content that you put out. Any tips you can give Jacob on his game?
Stop slicing the ball.
Spend more time doing it.
Yeah, that's so before we moved to Fort Sumner, I golfed 3-4 times a week. And then I moved to the middle of nowhere where there's no golf courses, and I added 2 more kids. And so 4 kids, and then the nearest golf course being an hour and a half away. It's not going to happen. My game's not going to get better anytime soon. But what I liked was
that's a tough one.
It was shortly after we moved here that you started putting out videos, and so I was living vicariously through those videos sometimes, and wishing that I could get back out there. But no, that was all. I enjoyed that. I enjoy all the videos that you make. I even the one that you did about perspective really was profound in my opinion, because it, for whatever reason, people don't. I think a lot of people get caught up in worrying and freaking out about things that they can't control, and really that's all you can control is how you can react to that. And so loving what you're doing over there. How this move to Oceanside, was it a job for your wife, or was it just to get closer to family, and how are you liking it over there?
It was a little bit of both. My wife was in a crazy situation in Albuquerque. She was a medical sales for Synthes, which is Johnson & Johnson's spinal division. So, but she was servicing the Farmington Hospital, San Juan Regional. And so she was making that drive there and back 2 or 3 times a week, and it was just
a terrible
brutal.
Drive.
Yeah. It's beautiful if you do it once, but when you're doing it twice in one day and twice in 1 week, the stress it was putting on her was crazy. So we kind of knew that wasn't that couldn't go on forever. And she's done really well in that career. She's made a very nice career for herself. And so she got a job offer out here for a company that's in Carlsbad. And so this is how we found Oceanside. I always knew of Oceanside, but I never spent much time here. I was just driving through it if I was going to San Diego. So it's been a lot of fun to try and learn a new city and to get ingrained in a new community. And we've started to grow our network of people and friends, and it's been awesome. I am very much I loved Albuquerque and I loved the desert, but I grew up by the ocean, and so it's been really nice for me to get back closer to the ocean. And we've really been enjoying and being in Oceanside and close to family as well.
Awesome. Well, we've got 7 or so minutes here. I just want to go around Seth and Christina, see if they had any more questions. We'll open it up to the fans as well, and then get some final thoughts from you, Chris. So, Seth, you got any?
Ooh, I have a question before
Christina,
I forget.
Okay, go for it, Christina.
Have you watched the soccer tournament, TST soccer tournament?
Yes.
I have this hope and dream that there will be a United alumni team. And I think it was Peter who told us, or maybe it was Ron. Somebody said that Devin had a team put together, but then his celebration night at the lab fell during the tournament, so he had to cancel that. But do you foresee being able to play? And if so, putting together a United team for the soccer tournament?
Yes, but I envision it. So when I initially started having this conversation with someone, I envisioned it different a little bit. I envisioned it a UNM alumni team.
Oh.
And I've actually had a conversation with them with TST about it, and that's a good nudge to follow up with them. They were fairly easy to get in touch with, and they were open to a conversation. We had a great conversation. They love the idea. I think a New Mexico United alumni team would be pretty awesome as well. I think that would do a lot of fun. I think that team would do well. And maybe the UNM, because UNM's been done for 7-8 years now, so those guys are probably getting older. So maybe we need to focus more on New Mexico United alumni. But
Well,
that
I mean,
tournament has
as
become
fans, yeah, it has. It's grown in just 1 year, right? Is it 1 year?
it's like 2 or 3 years now, but they give the teams that were in it this year the first rights to be in it again. So you're kind of just hoping that someone drops out, and then there's a big waiting list now, they said. So we'll see. We got to keep pushing it and getting them to get us a team.
I have
I would
I
try to
have
play
all
in it,
the
that's
faith
for
in the
sure.
world. Hell yeah. I have all the faith in the world that a lot of United fans would travel for that. I mean, we travel well. So I think there'd be a pretty good cheering section for that.
Yeah, incredible the way you guys travel. You guys did it every game. It was amazing.
All right, so I'm going to ask you to step into the shoes of Coach Bees here for a minute. You talked earlier about the club going through some difficult spells, particularly ahead of Zach leaving. Obviously, things are not going well right now. Coach Bees is in that locker room. What are you saying to these guys to get them up and motivated?
Oh, that's a good question. Uh, um, this is like probably in line with kind of the way I've been seeing the world and trying to be a better person. It's it comes down to like energy, and either everyone's contributing to a better, higher energy of the group, or they're not. And so I think they're at a point where they kind of have to. Everyone has to make a decision. Like, are we gonna like everyone gonna do everything they can to show up and be the best version of themselves to make the results start going our way, or are we gonna, you know, complain and come in with bad energy because maybe we're not playing, or maybe I'm not in favor of the coach, or whatever it is, and that's gonna bring down the energy of the group, and the results are going to continue going their way. So I think they're very much at a point where they just need to. I guess I should be speaking to the group. I think and this comes a lot from what I saw from the game that I was at and from the other games. I watched a bit of the Lou City games. The energy was better. I think the way that they played the game was much better. It's a great result on the road, but it's a lot comes down to effort and just like grinding out results. And that's what they did under Quill, was like, you kind of had that fear that like, if I don't like track back as hard as I can to like put a tackle in or to add numbers in defense, then I'm probably getting pulled out. So I might as well do it. And I think there's a bit of like complacency in some of the moments. And so it's just addressing those, and yeah, just pushing, like doing the dirty work. I think that's what New Mexicans do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if you caught the comment, but David Weesey Carl has entered the chat.
What's up,
David? How are you, buddy?
Well, Chris, I know we're right at the 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock time frame, depending on where you're at in the world. But just wanted to thank you for coming on, spending an hour with us, and being very authentic and open and honest with all your answers. And I'm glad that you're doing good over there. And if we were actually going to come out to Oceanside in November for our 10-year wedding anniversary, but we're not going to make it. So we're looking at doing that next year. So if I do, I'll have to reach out and see if you want to go play Goat Hill with me. But
Yeah.
until then, any final thoughts for the fans? I know you played here for a long time. You had a special night the other day, and you got to hear a bunch of praises about yourself. But anything else that you want to say to the fans of New Mexico United?
Well, I apologize. You probably see I'm sweating. It's actually warm. We finally got some warm weather out here for the first time this summer. So I'm in my garage sweating right now. But no, I am very appreciative to you guys. This doesn't have to be the last time that I'm on either, by the way. So hopefully I get an invite in the near future to come back on. I really enjoyed our conversation, and the questions made me think a lot, which is awesome. And I appreciate you guys making the space for me and the time. man, thank you. I just like I hope that I came across that way in my little video I did after I was out in New Mexico, but like I really genuinely like appreciate what the club did for me, what Ron and Peter and everyone on the staff did to honor me that night, and I'm really appreciative for all the fans that have supported me from UNM to New Mexico United, and even when I left, like I still felt a lot of love. I really didn't feel any hate, and that's why like coming back for me was like such a blessing to come back to the club. So I just am I appreciate all that New Mexico has done for me, and I just hope that I can continue to give back in little ways here and there to New Mexico. So thank you guys so much.
Awesome, Chris. Yeah, thanks. And we'll for sure have you back. I'd love to get into the nitty gritty of a few other things. You coming back from Orange County, and stuff like that. And we do this every week, so including through the off season. So we got a ton of time and a ton of hours that we got to fill, and I can't think of a better way to fill it than to have you back on. So you'll be hearing from me for sure. And you take care of that family over there, and you just enjoy life, and we'll have you on again.
Awesome. Sounds good, you guys. Thank you again for your time, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris.
Please.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Man, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
That was
great.
so fun.
Oh, dude, I'm so glad we finally got him on. Guys, if you missed it, Chris Wehan, B's all-time goal scoring leader for New Mexico United, all-time appearances leader as well, I believe. Correct me if I'm right. Brucey might have passed him.
I think
but
Bruce might have passed him. Yeah,
It's-
but
Ooh.
yeah, it's they're close. But man, that was such a fun conversation. B's
It
is
was.
such a good dude.
it was very insightful.
I
Loved
could talk
having
to
him
him
on.
for sure for another hour easily.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
definitely get
yeah.
him back on.
That's the
Kudos to
problem with us
him.
having like David and B's and everybody on. Like,
Yeah,
we
it's
could
fun.
talk to you guys forever. So
Yeah. But kudos
Um,
to him too for, answering some really tough questions, you guys.
Yeah.
You all were
Yeah.
braver than me.
Well, I asked him beforehand. I said, "Is there anything you don't want to touch on?" And he said, "I'm open for it all." So I said, "Okay, I'll try
Love
to.
it.
I'll figure out how to do it the easiest way possible." But yeah, no, that was fantastic. Thanks everybody over in the chat. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for participating. Why are you talking so much? And yeah, so yeah, I'm still kind of riding a high, but we do have a match that we can talk about. We got some signings we can talk about, and a preview for Indigenous Peoples Night coming up on Saturday that we can chat on. We don't have a lot of time. I'd like to keep it to an hour and a half still for our listeners, but Seth, let's start with the signings.
yeah.
Why don't you
Yeah.
run down that list, because I don't have
That
that
was-
in me right now.
Yeah, no worries. That was a great idea. That's where I wanted to head with that next. Obviously, club finally official. Fernando is gone.
Mhm.
We knew it was coming. We told you guys it was coming. Hanoi FC, Fernando is officially gone. The morning that was announced, Jacob texted me and said, "Hey, do we get a new signing today?" I said, "No, not today." Because I'll be honest with you, I'd heard about one, and that wasn't it. I'd heard about one coming. And I was like, "No, not today," because I wasn't expecting one that day.
Wait. So you hear about one and you don't tell us? What the
I'd
heck?
heard about it,
I thought we were
but-
cool, man.
but I didn't have like I didn't have like a date that it was coming, right? I knew there was one in the works. So the day that Fernando leaves, we get the announcement of the Mexico signing Luther Archimed. Okay, so he comes in. Then the very next day, we get the signing of Keller on loan from Minnesota United, and now we have the signing of Carlos Moguel Jr. On loan from Lou City. So busy few days for United. Two of the signings came in before the Lou City match at the weekend. Both got some time. Kip Keller. I mean, obviously, Keller comes in. This is a position, because at first the Archimed signing, we're like, okay, I said this made no sense to me. Or they didn't say it didn't. Let me rephrase. It didn't. It's not that it didn't make sense. It didn't move the needle for me.
Mhm.
Because it wasn't anything more than a depth piece in my eyes.
Right.
Archimed comes in, he looks fine. but we'll get into why he wasn't more than fine. Kip Keller, on the other hand, signs, comes in, looks amazing on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Kip Keller,
Agreed.
and we'll get to that here in a second. And then again, now Everton did this a few years ago. They played a Ukrainian team, signed a guy off their squad, and he disappeared the next season. But we play Lou City. We've now signed a midfielder on loan, Carlos Mogel Jr. from Lou City. So I'll be honest. Kip Keller, initially, I look at his stats, his past, comes in. He spent a lot of time on injured reserve, and he hadn't played in a couple weeks. So it's like, okay, what can this guy do for us? He did pretty darn well. But before we get into the match on Saturday, look at these 3 signings, and now we do still have time. The roster freeze date has not happened. There's still time for additional signings. What are we thinking so far? It's been a busy, not even 7 days for United with the 4 announcements. What are we thinking?
I think, when we found out Fernando was leaving and then Peter went on 1017, he said that there would be some signings coming, and that they would be more depth pieces. And so I was not expecting names to jump off the screen at me. And so far they haven't. The only one I knew like immediately, okay, I know what this guy's kind of about, was Archimed, because he played for Sacramento and had played against us a couple times. But we did finally get the center back that was hugely important because of the thinness there. And he steps in and he looks fantastic. The midfield piece, I'm not like, I definitely think that's a depth piece. But now she's making noise over there instead of over here. But I do think that it's another body that we need. I think that he's going to take over some minutes from some of the people that are struggling, at least to start, and see what he's about. And then Luther is a piece up there, just, with losing Fernando. Yes, Fernando typically played out on the left, but we saw Hurst play out there with Among up top against Lou City. And so if we're going to be moving people around like that, then another body up there definitely isn't going to hurt. Especially with what I really like about him is he's 6'3", big dude, and gives us somewhat of an aerial threat, or at least the threat of an aerial threat. It's kind of like there's a Fran Fraschilla said that there was a basketball player that was 2 years away from being 2 years away. So we have a threat of an aerial threat, at least something that the defenders at least have to think about. And so that helps, but I wasn't expecting a giant needle mover to begin with. And so far they've all been in line with what I expected. And if Keller can come in and play like he played on Saturday, then
he's going to get his loan recalled really quick.
Yeah. Well, I think if he can play that well, Minnesota United is not. They're a title contender in MLS right now, and they brought in a defender and a defensive midfielder that can play in the back as well. So I think I think they're probably going to be set. I think Keller will probably be here for the rest of the season. And if he does, and then all of a sudden Ryden comes back healthy and Maples isn't suspended, now that's looking like a strength instead of a weakness there. And so I'm not super concerned with that, as long as they can keep playing to that capability. And then when you look at Carlos, as Justin said, he thinks he's going to be a good add on loan. I agree. I think he's going to, what B said, it's about energy, and it's about, well, do I make that track back or not? And I think somebody like Carlos, who is coming in on loan, he wasn't seeing any time at Lou City, has maybe a chip on his shoulder. And if he gets minutes, I expect him to bust his ass. And that's kind of what we need right now. We need that infusion of energy. And I think Keller brought that on Saturday. And I think Carlos can bring it moving forward. And hopefully getting guys like Ryden back can give everybody a little bit of a boost and get us back on the right track.
Yeah, and speaking of those guys coming in, you obviously go back to Saturday, looking at that match, and not, we were all concerned about this one. We were all concerned about this Louisville City match. I think we all predicted. I know I predicted a loss. I'm pretty sure Christina, correct me if I'm wrong. You predicted a loss. Jacob predicted a draw.
Thank you. Yes, I was right with the fact that we got a point. Completely wrong on the score, but we drew.
Yeah, we drew, and 2 consecutive draws. Now we still haven't won in almost 2 months, but this to me, and we'll get into the deficiencies here, but this was our best defensive performance probably since May.
I think of the season. I think because a lot of those clean sheets, remember at the beginning of the year, were in matches that we held 60-70% of the possession.
Mm-hmm.
And teams like Jerry's
where they
El
parked
Paso,
the bus. Yeah.
when they came to the lab, parked the bus and really didn't generate a whole lot. So from a full-on defensive performance, this was a defense that was asked to do more than most of the other shutouts that we've had, and they accomplished it in a big way. And Shakes came up with a couple of massive moments and a couple of massive saves. And now I'm starting to think maybe that's why we're seeing Shakes in there right now. And another thing that I've noticed is Alex got a team of the week earlier in the season, and Shakes gets one this week for this performance. And the love that Shakes got from his teammates that I saw reposting it and commenting on it and stuff was immense, because Shakes probably is the definition of a locker room guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you might see them work a little bit harder for that guy, as opposed to what several people, including like Esteban over in New Mexico United Nation, have said, like that negative attitude that Tambakis has sometimes is kind of a downer. And I think when we're winning and we're having a good season like last year or the beginning of this season, that negative mindset can be looked at as a positive, like, hey, we want to be perfect. But when we're in a slump, man, it's really hard as a defender, I imagine, to make a mistake and then have your goalkeeper act that way. And so I'm wondering if that's not a little bit more of what's going on there too. So, but no, definitely a great defensive performance, and Shakes with a hell of a save off the shoulder area there towards the end to solidify it.
Yeah, no, again, great performance by Shakes. Team of the week nod. Up for save of the week. By the way, go vote early and often on that if you haven't already. Bolte, despite the claims of some on this result, this is my favorite results of the season so far. Yeah, don't disagree whatsoever. I mean, this was a fantastic defensive effort.
Sorry.
Against the best scoring club in the league. Now, Louisville City is also one of the best defensive clubs in the teams in the league in terms of goals allowed against. So, like, really, it was going to be a hard matchup no matter what, but you have to think there are positives to take away from this, particularly defensively. And speaking of Alex and Chris, I think they have different styles.
They do.
When Alex is out there, Alex is definitely the much more vocal leader, because when Alex is out there, you see him trying to take command of everything. Shakes, yes, he's talking to guys, but he's also letting his defenders in front of him organize what needs to be done. And I think that played a huge difference here in this matchup on Saturday. Keller comes in, fantastic. Kalen Ryden comes back from injury. Great to see Kalen. Kalen looked good. I think I saw a question posed that, with the way Keller played, provided he doesn't get recalled at some point, does Keller play alongside Maples instead of Kalen?
I think with Kalen's injury history and him being an elder statesman, I don't think Minnesota loans Keller over here if he's not going to get more playing time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think he plays quite a bit is my guess, and Ryden to me, it's perfect for Ryden to be that coach on the sideline and also coming in to solidify a win or a draw, like in this case, when he comes on and be that extra defender. I mean, I do think that is the right spot for him to be in right now, especially coming off that injury. And then if he needs to step in, he can step in and be that rock back there again too. So yeah, I think it's Keller and Maples for sure. We did kind of see a back three towards the end of this match that I wasn't upset by. And so I also wouldn't be opposed if all three of them start every once in a while with a 3 at the back system. So
yeah. Oh yeah, that could probably work as well. You put Kalen in the middle, Maples and Keller on the outside. I could see that. That could work. Another thing too from this, and Christina, I'll ask you this: with Shakes' performance, 3rd career clean sheet, 2nd of the season. He picked up one last year against Loudoun United as well. Is there any question in your mind that Shakes is potentially now our number 1? I know it's been posed on social media.
When I saw that he was starting again, not gonna lie, I actually texted you guys and was like, oof.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know that I think that he's the strong start. I feel like Alex is a more prepared keeper, but I love that Shakes shut me up. I mean, he had an excellent showing, and look at him on Team of the Week. So I feel like I heard somewhere, maybe Shakes had mentioned in an interview or something, that Alex has really been working very closely with Shakes and being really supportive. So it's a team effort, even if one is getting the start over the other. So not a bad problem to have. I think that now, since he started against Lou City and he performed really well, I feel like it'd be the opposite. I would be surprised to see Alex getting the start. I don't know to say like, yep, Shakes is our new number 1, but I feel like if it's working, leave it alone. Let it continue its course. So I fully expect to see Shakes between the posts on Saturday.
God, that's safe.
That was a phenomenal save. Jerry, to answer your question, we beat Loudoun United last year with Shakes between the sticks. We also had a win earlier this season in league play, as well as Open Cup wins as well. So, and Jägermeister Cup wins. So
suck it is what
he's
saying.
Jerry. Yes. We come with receipts. So, but the question has been asked, and I've answered this in multiple locations. We've given the information we have from what coaches told us, and even from what Will told us against after Chris Wehan appreciation night. Shakes has earned the start in practice. Okay, that's all it is. It's not that he's the number 1. He's earned this. He's earned the opportunity to start, and coach wants to give him a body of work to build off of. Now, what that means for the future, we don't know. There is also, and I haven't spoken on this yet, but there is a rumor that there are issues in the locker room between Alex and Sanchez. Now, I have not confirmed this. I obviously, on this type of situation, people aren't going to be, oh yeah, they're not getting along, right? But there are rumors floating. So I can see where that's coming from. But again, coach has addressed this. He said, no, Shakes has earned the spot through his work in practice. So I tend to agree. Do I think Shakes is the number 1? No. Do I think he is tremendously talented? Yes. And we talked about him when we signed him last year. Because he comes out of Penn State. He's got the pedigree. He did well at the collegiate level, All-American, right? He's good. He is good, and I think he's going to be good.
And young.
Yes, he is young as well. So
we're thinking future.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe eventually, we do see Alex move on, which I think is going to be the case at some point, either, end of this year, maybe next year. But, maybe Shakes is the keeper of the future. But is he the number 1 right now? No, I don't think so.
But darn it, I also want Alex to get his record.
Yeah.
Give the man his record.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would love to see Alex get the record. But again, I'm also the opinion. With that type of performance against the best goal scoring club in the league, I can't see Shakes being benched this Saturday against Sacramento. I mean, Jacob, do you see anything different here?
No, I don't. I think if you were going to go back to Alex, last weekend would have been the weekend to do it, going to Lou City. And so not going back to that week makes me think that he's at least going to get a couple more weeks after that. And honestly, what I'm curious about, so I was able to see a little bit of it. They showed a little bit, Alex was engaged on the sideline. He was up at times. He was high-fiving subs that came off, talking up subs that were going on. And they didn't show him a lot, but they showed him enough times that I was like, okay, I'm sold. Because what happens when you make this move is it's, we talked in the past couple of weeks about has Sanchez lost the locker room. And that was what I really wanted to see, was how Alex was acting on the bench, because that was going to tell me a lot. And sure enough, he was up and he was engaged. So no, he has not lost the locker room, because if he loses the locker room, especially with a guy that is about to break the record for most shutouts and has several records already, benching him for a kid like Shakes, if you're going to lose the locker room, that's when it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And Alex is going to be one of the catalysts for that. And it did not seem like he was. And so I think we're trending in the right direction for sure. And, we've got a big test Saturday at the lab that will kind of tell us where we're sitting right now. And so I'm excited for that and curious what you guys think's what that's gonna look like.
Yeah. I mean, looking ahead to Saturday against Sacramento, we need offense. We need offense, but yeah, I don't know. If we're to stay on the goalkeeper thing here quickly, I think Shake starts on Saturday. Mm-hmm. I think Alex is playing the role of the veteran exactly right. Even if there is an issue in the locker room, like, he is there pitch side, being supportive, being engaged, unlike Micah Parsons.
Professional.
He's being an absolute professional about it, which I appreciate. And I think that, again, it's helped build Chris and the rest of this team up for the future, So I think that there are good things to come out of all of this. I like our chances better on Saturday. And I think at this point I think Chris is playing with a lot of confidence. Yes, he had the 2 poor results, but you get red card to Talon Maples in one of them. I think this is a big confidence booster for him. So yeah, I look at it, but I also look at this match. I go, okay, defensively, I think we have it. I think we can run with Sacramento defensively, but we have to figure out the offense. We have to.
Well,
and
getting a midfielder hopefully will help.
Yeah, hopefully that'll help. I know there's a comment over somewhere talking about John Morrissey and John Morrissey's apparent deafness to what we say and hear and talk about here, but John was wrong about the selling of Fernando and the reasoning why. He was not wrong about our offense being anemic and lacking creativity. If you look back at the match on Saturday against Lou City, we had 6 total shots, I think it was.
If that.
I don't think to me, it's not fair to look at the Lou City match and
5 total
draw
shots.
Any conclusion about the offense, because it was very clear from the start that we were going to try to jump on them early. And if we could not get one early, then we were going to get out of there with the 0-0 draw. It was it was the most defensive minded tactic that we've seen in probably 3 years.
But I don't hate it.
No, it was it.
We had to stop the hemorrhaging.
Yeah, in that moment, going on the road to Lou City, a team that, as I had said, had scored 4 goals in 4 of their last 6 matches, each 4 goals each in 4 of their last 6 matches. If we were going to go in there and try to play a wide open run the ball, it probably wasn't going to go well for us. And so I do think that to look at that match and say, okay, well, the offense was anemic in that match. Yes, it was, but I think that was part of the plan for a lot of that match. That being said, 2 against Vegas is not really what you want, but it is 2 goals. It is a multi-goal game. And so it definitely still need to get better. I think we see a better performance offensively and a more attacking performance coming up against Sacramento. This is a match that I think the guys may have had circled since opening weekend when we should have won and did not. And so I'm hoping they come out with a little more attacking verve for sure. And I think they do.
Yeah. Justin, I do think we get one more. Just don't expect it to be at 10 a.m.
Yeah, they gave up on that one.
They've all been at 10 a.m. except for the one.
I'd still out of nowhere, 1:30 in the afternoon.
Guys.
And that's why I have Twitter notifications turned on right now.
I do too. I have Twitter. I have them on for forever, but yeah.
But then they psyched you out today, right? Was it today? The announcement of the player from Lou City?
Yeah. It was
today.
So they announced it and then they deleted it and then they re-announced it.
Jacob texted like, "Where is it? It's not here." Like refreshing the screen, couldn't find it. Oh God, sorry. I pulled up Twitter. Did you guys see this? Like this?
I don't.
USL Championship.
I want to know. Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh
yes, I did. And it was over on Facebook too.
Oh my God.
I saw it on Instagram. Yeah.
Justin over here said they forgot to schedule the post on Friday. That's why it was at 1:30.
Something. Yeah.
Well, no, I think they put out something at 10 o'clock on Friday.
Yeah.
Was it the schedule update?
There's a schedule update.
So
new time.
So who knows? But no, so I do think that we get one more, like Seth said. Who knows when though? And probably I expect before Saturday, honestly, but I don't know for sure.
But yeah, Sacramento on Saturday. Sacramento coming in. They lost their last match 1-0 to El Paso. 2 draws, 2 wins before that. The draws to Lexington and Oakland Roots, wins over Monterey Bay and San Antonio. I mean, Sacramento, they struggled early. We saw it happen. They've now shot back up the standings, sitting in second behind FC Tulsa and 11 points off the pace that Tulsa is currently setting. Tulsa, by the way, on a 14-match unbeaten streak. So yeah, and I saw somewhere, I guess magic numbers are out. I can't find it on the USL Championship website. Maybe they're out. Maybe I'm wrong. I saw some sort of post about it, but
they did post a playoff, whatever they call it, over on USL. For me, it's easier to go to USL's social media and find the link because going to the website, who the hell knows where it's at?
Their website is fucking awful. If you go click on the news tab and then go to on the field, and then do insights, it's Danny Trejo signing for Phoenix Rising. yeah,
it's ridiculous. To me, what needs to happen before USL goes Division 1 and gets Pro Rel is they need to fix that damn website. But yeah,
yes.
I say that, but then I'm going to get on a soapbox just for 2 seconds here real quick. ESPN, you are the worldwide leader in sports. Why do I have to watch 2 30-second ads to watch a 50-second clip on the freaking app? I don't understand.
Because they just bought the NFL and they just bought MLB.
And also, I'm not done. And also, if you're going to do that, at least make the ads load, because I can watch videos all day on every other app that I use. And then I get to that one and it buffers for 30 seconds to watch a 30-second ad before a 50-second video. And now something that should take 20 seconds of my life is taking 3 minutes and I want to throw my phone. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Nope, I'm with you. I am completely with you. Other ESPN related news: the 1017, and I know I put this in our group chat and over on Discord. 1017 will not carry the San Antonio match next weekend.
Ooh.
The reason I was told is lack of manpower.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Don't know what that means, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know, but I was not asked to help with any part of it, so I don't know who or what is missing, but
Double boo.
we'll leave it at that. But yeah, so looking at these few matches coming up, like I think Sacramento is a winnable game, particularly at home.
Mhm.
I would love to see more energy. I would love to see more creativity. I would love to see some sort of
energy.
desire to avenge the loss earlier this season on a stupid, ridiculous red card. Like, it's just dumb. Like, there needs to be something. Obviously, Talon will be back.
Yeah.
Kaylin is back.
Yeah.
Like, we're relatively healthy at this point, other than Brucey.
Hmm.
I mean,
there.
surely we can put something together and push the pace, particularly at home. Quit playing so narrow. Can we play a little wider, please? Pull teams out. We have to. We allow teams to play narrow against us, and when they do that, and when they play in that low block, it really destroys what we want to do. And I would like to think that Sanchez sees this and understands it, and is like, okay, let's play a little wider, pull these guys out, even though we play on a small ass pitch. Like, pull them out, create some opportunities from the outside, get guys out of position. Like, Sacramento is beatable. We could do this. We could win this match on Saturday, but we have to be aggressively pushing opportunities to get into the final third. I'm trying to find a reliable website that shows entries into the final third, because I would love to find one that shows that. And because I know it gets reported on. There have been a handful of matches where our entries into the final third are half of what the other teams are.
Mm-hmm.
And that we can't do that week in and week out. We just can't. But I have faith in our guys. I have faith that we have the talent to go out there and win some of these matches here in the next few weeks. I think you get 2 draws in a row. Yeah, it's progress. I think you've seen better defensive performances the past 2 weeks, but there's still more work to be done.
Agreed.
So
I think we get it done this weekend. I'm going to start predictions right away. And I think we get out of there with a 2-0 win, honestly. And that honest, like, I come on here and 99 times out of 100, I predict a win. Last weekend I did not. But this isn't just blowing smoke. I do think with the new additions and the progress that we've seen and the fact that, it's kind of nut up or shut up time right now with the standings the way they are and the amount of matches we have left. I mean, we're sitting at 19. We only got 11 matches for the regular season here, and so it's time, man. It's time, and I, like you said, avenging that stupid loss from the beginning, from the first match of the season, being at home, being relatively healthy. This one, I don't usually reference Jerry, and I actually acknowledge him, but I will on this one. He did say, he asked me if United doesn't win this weekend, is it time to press the panic button? If it's not a win, like, we could draw or lose, and I might not be pressing the panic button. But if we come out and look lethargic, then I might be, because we're out of excuses now. We've added some new signings. We have some more bodies coming. We have bodies coming back from injury. We're at home. It's against a team that's above us, so there shouldn't be a trap game. We overlooked them. Whatever. It's freaking Sacramento, and they're currently sitting second in the standings, tied with a team we don't name on this podcast. And so it's time. And if we don't at least show energy and effort, then I might be pressing the panic button. even if we win and we look lethargic, I might be pressing the panic button. But as long as we come out, we give everything we can, and we act like we're trying and care, then I won't be pressing the panic button regardless of result. But I think we're the better team, and we're going to come out and we're going to show that on Saturday and get a 2-0 win. And Jerry, feel free to play some clown music behind this if I'm wrong, because frankly, I don't care what you do. But I just really do think that we're going to get a win here. And
Okay, not just me.
He's frozen
He did. I don't know what happened to Jacob.
or still thinking. I, for one, have been tapping the panic button for a couple of weeks now. I've been kind of like thinking about it. But I liked what I saw on Saturday. It was one of those draws that felt like a win to me. I was hella nervous and super proud to see just more energy and more heart.
Mhm.
And I think that led to more cohesion. I'm
Yeah.
predicting a win as well. I'm going to go 2-1 win. I think that Sacramento is going to be flopping and cramping and crying about the elevation drink. And I think that the ref is going to buy it because the refs at the lab usually do. And so somehow they're going to weasel in a goal.
Well, in the words of famed sports broadcaster Duke Keith, Vitello did not have a good game on Saturday. I think Danny Vitiello is significantly better than so it was a 1-0 loss. Vitiello was fine. Like nothing terrible.
Still up for goal of the week, save of the week too.
Yeah. Yep. Sure is. So
Yep.
yes, Jacob said 2-0. You got 2-1. I would love to see us score multiple goals. I think that's gonna be big for us going forward if we can do that. But yeah, I don't care if we could grind out 1-0 wins. I really don't. I don't understand the hate for the nil. I don't understand the 0-0 draw hate on the road to the best team in the league. I don't understand that hate. Like
I agree.
It's a step in the right direction. And
I agree on both.
And I think a 1-0 win Saturday night at the lab is going to go a long way for us. So I think that's where we're at.
That flag that they're giving away is so cool. So hopefully it'll be a good turnout again. Another fun night. I won't be there. I'll be in Washington, but that's okay.
Well, hopefully you enjoy your time away. Jacob, are you back with us?
I am. Power went out for like 3 seconds, so that was weird.
Yeah.
Just long enough to mess up the Wi-Fi.
No, I mean the Wi-Fi actually didn't flicker. It was just the computer shut off, and then I had to turn it back on because I'm not on a laptop. I'm on a desktop, and so I'm subject to the power going out.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So Jacob got his score line in. Christina gave hers of 2-1. I said 1-0, and Jerry's just gonna Jerry apparently. So, Jacob, you were in the middle of a thought. Did you have anything you wanted to finish before we get?
No. I basically finished that thought. It was just I think we get a win. So,
alrighty then. Well, what do you say we get out of here?
Yeah, man. Yeah. For those of you that joined late, definitely go back and listen to the first hour of tonight with the one and only Chris Wehan. It was very insightful. He gave a lot of amazing stuff in there, and just definitely go back and listen. Even if you listen to it, go back and re-listen to it because you probably missed something. Would be my guess. Everybody else in the chat, Justin, Josh. Actually, was Josh in the chat today? I don't know if I ever saw Josh in the chat.
I did see him.
I don't see him. Vin, Justin, Jane, Mama Christina, Andrew,
David,
Alex. Yeah, I don't think I'm missing anybody else though. There's not.
Vin.
Yeah, I said Vin. Yep. No, definitely not missing anybody else there. So thank you all in the chat. Thanks everybody that watched and didn't chat. If you didn't, I don't know why you didn't, but if you're listening on a later date on a podcast player of your choice, please rate and review us over there. And if you're watching the video later, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Oh, did I miss somebody? Oh no, still didn't miss anybody. And so thank you guys so much. We'll be back next week. Same time, same places, talking about that Sacramento match, maybe another signing or two. And yeah, love y'all. Somos Unidos. We'll catch y'all next week.
Night.